Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series where we're going on 10 episodes of a series that has long past its glory days. Do you know what I mean by long past its glory days? I mean nowhere near it, because a lot of these episodes are incredibly enjoyable, regardless of the fact of whether or not they carry a lot of scenes in them whatsoever. That being said, I'm going to continue on as if I had never said that, because this is a good episode, specifically for the implications rather than the actual scenes themselves. And you're probably wondering what I mean by that. So I guess we can go ahead and get into it. You see, today's episode is Interspecies Reviewers episode 10. Double digits, mind you. And we are doing pretty good for ourselves because this is literally the last episode that is on H-Anime that I'm watching currently. And it is also... No, it's not the last episode I'm going to do. I still got 3 more, or 2 more, I believe, because I don't remember if it was 13 or 12 episodes. Because I think the next one is the second to last, and then it finally goes to the last one. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that it is the last episode. At least for a while, until at least the next one gets uploaded. Because there hasn't been one uploaded in a minute. So, let's go ahead and treat this as if this is the ending to the story, because the later half of the story will probably come at a later time. That being said, let's go ahead and get into it. You see, episode 10 of Interspecies Reviewers essentially starts off with them camping around a whole bunch of centaur girls in their mythical quest to find a place that has 10 out of 10 reviews across the board when it comes to this sort of stuff. You're probably thinking, what could have 10 out of 10 reviews? Well, I'm going to show you, because Disneyland is right there. After the epic opening plays, and they get their whole little shtick about, we finally found the promised land, and, can safely say they're a little right. Not as diverse as I'd want it to be. Not necessarily because all the characters are pasty white and probably Asian, which leads to a very flat... I'm only saying Asian because I know this is an Asian culture, not because... Or the medium is made by a Japanese distributor, and probably seeing everybody around with the exact same human the whole time. I don't know. Bring in the dark elves with just abs aplenty, or I don't know, bring in a whole bunch of people that look like Link. God, I would kill for that guy to be in my bed right now. They make their way into the entire section of this whole place, and they think to themselves, what could possibly be in this mythical wonderland that we found ourselves in? Whole bunch of hard-light clones of a powerful mage who runs the entire place. You see, this whole place is essentially you get your own version of this powerful mage, and then you get your own timing with her. Which I can personally say, that would be... I don't know how everybody gives this super high ratings, because I don't care how nice she is. I mean, if you live in a world full of fantasy creatures, you kind of go after the fantasy creatures. Now, I may be biased into myself, but really looking for a 7-foot-something tall Goliath girlfriend with huge abs, or an orc girlfriend with the bottom tusks, or slime girlfriend, or a whole bunch of the other ones that have been in this series. Salamander girlfriend number 1. Let's go, gamers. Now, you see, when they walk in, they essentially find all these different hard-light copies, and they're given, like, here's your one, be civil, have fun, go nuts. And they all essentially walk around with their own little big-titty mage girlfriends, and they have essentially whatever fun they have. Krim noticeably being the first one to actually get physical with her in essentially a pretty easy way to figure out. Yeah, she takes them up to their suite, essentially, and they have their own little bit of fun, how shall we say, because sometimes you take a bath, and sometimes a bath takes you. In this case, the mage girlfriend is the bath. She's taking you straight to bed. She kind of goes at him, and he's like, oh no, I'm so pure. Do it harder. That's essentially the vibe I'm getting from Krim nowadays. He went from the pure angel to the, like, to Gabriel from Supernatural. If you've seen it, good luck. You understand what I'm talking about. Porn stars in Malibu, let's go. And the next one that cuts over to is Stunk, who's essentially in bed debating whether or not 9 or 10, 9 or 10, 9 or 10, 9 or 10, 9 or 10. And then he wakes up the next morning to find her making breakfast in a really skimpy outfit and says, "This is 10. This is amazing food, along with great sex." And then he goes immediately back to bed because, you know, if you're going to be there for 3 days on a really cheap reservation with pretty much a girl who can do anything that you want, you're going to take that 10 days all the way to the grave. 3 days. I messed up the number. Do not at me. That being said, it then cuts over to 𝓗𝓮, who is making sure his 3 days are well spent, because when she's an incredibly powerful mage who can essentially have the knowledge of pretty much any of her clones all at once, she's also very knowledgeable, which case he uses it in the fullest effect to get a college course out of her in her sexy getup. Like, yes, you can be sexy, but I would also like to know how to make sure that polymorph can be cast as a higher level spell than actually is put, because some of us are still rangers and we'd sure like an expanded spell list. Not necessarily looking at my viewers. I'm pretty sure none of you work for Wizards of the Coast. Looking at you. Make ranger good. That being said, they essentially go straight into it with the halfling dude. As soon as they find him, he is just in his own little dungeon going nuts with the clone. Now, I don't really, I'm not into that super BDSM gear. I 100% get why some people would. It's just a little, it feels like a little, like, past the line for me. Not necessarily in a bad way. It feels like just, I like being on the beach. I don't necessarily like scuba diving. Shit can get dangerous real quick. But you have fun. Go nuts. And then it essentially cuts back to 𝓗𝓮, who's like, I feel like I've used a lot of time here. And she's like, nonsense. And then uses her head to solve a lot of problems, which is the fact that he did not have head. And afterwards, it kind of cuts over to what's going on, actually, in this whole thing. You see, a lot of these girls have little teleporter things in their throats and essentially in their every orifice of their body. And probably their epidermis, which allows them to absorb it if it ever gets on part of their body. You see, what's actually going on is the mage herself is actually a researcher who's been taking in large quantities of essence, how shall we say. You know, the stuff that comes out when you, you know, the stuff that it's not pee that comes out of it. And essentially, she's been using it and researching it a lot and finds out that 𝓗𝓮 is in fact not a normal person. And his essence is essentially useful in a lot of different ways, because angels do in fact have a lot of different resistances that humans and the like do not actually have. Congratulations, you stole from an angel. I wonder if you're getting where you need to go, but damn if that ain't clever. They paid to willingly give up genetic fluids. That is a capitalist ass sentence right there. Almost makes me think that an OnlyFans is just a way to get genetic fluids as well. The only difference is that I feel like people don't have my mailing address yet. Keep an eye out. I may be running some experiments. That being said, she's kind of going through the whole motions of like, I need a lot of this angel stuff, so I'm going to make that clone work a little bit harder. To which case, it kind of gets into the whole, the second half of the episode, where they're saying goodbye to their big titty mage GFs as they all start disappearing into the sun, or into the moon, because it's all at night. And they all end up leaving. And as they give their reviews to the centaur women that they hired previously, they shoot off into different towns, spreading the good word of this 10 out of 10 establishment. In which case, they go into the actual review of the whole thing, which is code word for scene of the whole thing. You see, scene number 1 starts at 17 minutes and 15 seconds and goes all the way to 19 minutes and 45 seconds, essentially going over how they all believe it's a 10 out of 10 because, number 1, it's a hard light construct that you can do pretty much anything to and can reshape itself into anything that you'd want. Now that I think about it, diversity amongst the fantasy races probably isn't a problem when she can change her body and face and everything about her to pretty much anything that they'd want because, you know, hard light construct can be useful in a lot of different ways. Number 2, she can do pretty much anything, so you're good there, and she's pretty much open to anything because it has apparently been shown that some people have have a fetish for tearing apart bodies, and I would very much strongly talk to those people about what the hell's going on in their mind, especially when she talks about how she defecates on people because sometimes they ask, get some help. Stop. Get a large McDonald's fries. Think about your life. What are you doing? Why would you do such a thing? Then it essentially cuts to as they finally get home, heroes of their nation, 10 out of 10, amazing in every possible way. And then they get back to their tavern, making sure that everything's okay. And once they get back to the tavern, Madory's jumping back and forth, flying, making sure that everybody's happy, until it goes dead quiet. And as it goes dead quiet, the door opens, revealing what I can only describe as a suck you twink. Now, this is completely expected by me. You can't have this many women and not have one man show up who's ready to fuck. He orders one raw egg, and then the episode ends. Why did he order a raw egg? I don't know, but he's hot enough to turn that thing into scrambled eggs before it hits the back of his throat. Jesus Christ. Okay, and that being said, what did I think of this episode? What did I particularly view in this episode that was greater or lesser than anything else? Well, number one, not a lot of scenes in this. This was about 2.5 minutes, and a lot of it was like still images that go along with it. And I understand this isn't necessarily a scene-focused thing, but this is more the implications of what this does. You see, when people pay for prostitution, they pay for like the entirety of what's going on. Like, we are willingly subjecting ourselves to getting rid of genetic fluids. They don't really give a shit where it goes, because oftentimes it's either in a rubber bag, so to say, and is thrown away at the first possible chance. On the other hand, it goes along with the participant who has paid money. Now, why? Because it's fun. What happens to it? I don't give a fuck. Research is probably one of the best ways that you can use this sorts of stuff. How else can we cure so many different diseases if we don't have this? How else can we make sure that genetics are taken care of? How do we keep creating these nothing but lusciously beautiful versions of different people if not the semen that we create is given so much power based on what magic can do to it? You want to know why we don't have magic? Because all of us would look the same. I guarantee it. Every woman would look like one version, and then every dude would look like the other version if we could manipulate the way that our seed is taken. Which is why we don't, because you should value the way that you look, because everybody is hot, and everybody is pretty, and everybody is sexy. And you should all take it. You want to know why I'm wearing this mask? Because now, you don't know what I look like, you don't know anything about what I look like. You just know that I have a voice that either goes really high because I'm talking a lot, or it's really low because I want to sound like something that you could put underneath a woman as she's talking to Howard Stern in the middle of an interview. Yes, I saw Private Parts recently. That's a good movie. And love yourself. Value the way that you look and enjoy the way that you look, because you can change it whenever you want. It's not that hard. Alright, seriously, put on some makeup, have fun. Put on some new clothes, have fun. You do not have to worry about the way that you look. Enjoy what you look like. This is a weird tangent that I went off on, but that's what I got from this message. Take care of what happens to your nut, because when the nut falls from the tree, you don't want to know what happens to it when people get their hands on it. And value the way that you look, because when it gets constantly changed around, when somebody has magical powers and can shift the way that you look in an instant because magic is real, and holy shit, that is a terrifying thought. Enjoy the way that you look, because we all could look like the same supermodel over and over and over and over and over again, and I guarantee the value of beauty is going to change a lot when everybody looks like Paris Hilton at her best. Jesus Christ, I don't want to look like Paris Hilton. She is a scary-looking, Skeletor-looking girl. But I would not mind looking like some of the people I've seen on Twitter. Every dude out there who wears a skirt, you are hot as fuck. Every girl out there who has abs, you're hot as fuck. This is a weird video. I'm gonna go ahead and end it before I say any more weird stuff. Thank you everybody for being here. This was a decent episode. This was more implications of what could happen in the world rather than what scenes can be used. I know it's not what everybody's here for, but, like, this was fun, regardless. Plus, I got to test out this new ring light that I bought. Thank you for recommending this. If you're watching this, you know who you are. It's always fun. And, yeah, that's the end of it for me. Thank y'all for being here. This was a weird-ass episode. If I said anything that you didn't like, disregard it, or I'll apologize for it. Alright, sorry about it. I didn't mean it. This was all just spur of the moment, and I am working off fumes, because I got off work really late. Thank you all so much. There is more of you here than there has ever been, and I cannot thank you enough for each and every one of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Whether or not this video does well, thank you so much. And until next time, I have been the Doctor, and remember, have a nice day, don't be a dick, there's too many of them, and wash your fucking hands. I've been the Doctor once again. Peace.